The Han calendar, which disappeared from Tianan for over 20 years, successfully advanced to the mid-stage of vowel. But good times don't last long. At this moment, in the boundless sea of Tianan, a large whirlpool appeared. Inside, demonic energy ran rampant, threatening Tianan. Now, the three major cultivators have approached Han Li. Only Han Li, who possesses the thunder bamboo, can delve deep into the bottom of the whirlpool to set up a shock plate to completely seal this whirlpool. The three fellow cultivators want Han to go deep into such a place, to lay down the shock plate. Do they just want me to go and never return? Han Li, the elegant woman, threw it onto the table. One device rang out clearly. He really couldn't tell if these three were genuinely unaware of this matter, or if they had deliberately conspired with ill intentions. But in any case, this was also the other party's mistake. Naturally, he couldn't easily agree to this matter. The hall fell into silence for a moment, clearly knowing it was a death sentence, yet still asking someone to set up the proper plate. Anyone with sense would definitely not do that. As for what grand plan to use to deceive and profit, that was even less likely. Everyone present was an understanding person, with their level of cultivation, let alone just a short half-day of suffering from demonic energy's influence. The entire Tianan has been destroyed. No one present would do such a self-sacrificing thing. At most, they would just pack up and leave Tianan. With their cultivation, it would be easy for them to establish themselves anywhere, and apart from Han Li, no one else can enter the demonic energy. The three major cultivators who completed the task have all fallen into the depths of the fragrant snow. Just then, Han Li's gaze flickered, and her voice softened as she suddenly spoke up. I also know that this situation is indeed difficult for the audience. Several fellow Taoists are quite in a dilemma. I have a proposal that could work. What proposal? Fellow Taoist Han, please feel free to say it. Upon hearing this, Master Ziyang quickly leaned forward. Wei Wuye and the old demon, He Huan, also perked up, eager to hear more. It's quite simple. I believe I can maintain the evil repelling divine thunder, and set up the formation plate. However, returning will be quite troublesome. Therefore, the treasures for repelling demons and dispelling evil that you all prepared must be used immediately. Only then can I hold on for a little longer. However, this approach is naturally quite dangerous. At this point, Han Li's voice paused. He seemed to hesitate a bit. No problem. As long as we can set up the right formation, the demon-slaying treasure can definitely be lent to my friend. Wu Ye's expression changed. He quickly spoke up. Of course, since this matter is so dangerous, the three of us won't let Han Taoist take this risk for nothing. Brother Wan, don't you think so? At this moment, someone suddenly smiled at the old lotus demon. Upon hearing this, the old lotus demon was taken aback, but after a moment of hesitation, he nodded and said, Indeed. In fact, it was not the case. The three of us originally planned to gift one of the 7 islands to Han Taoist. We intended to give it to the next leader. Upon hearing this, Han Li's pupils constricted, and he casually nodded. In fact, the division of the 7 islands seemed to have been divided by the 7 major sects, but most of these sects actually belong to our 3 major forces. It just happened that there was one extra island that was hard to allocate. Originally, it was meant to be left for the Dragon Letter and the Phoenix Soldier, to Taoist friends. But the couple happened to be in closed-door cultivation at this time. Unable to come here. This path can only temporarily hang under an unknown small sect. Now that you are willing to take risks, fellow Taoist, this Lin Ao Island will be shared with Han Taoist Luo Yun sect. Surely no one will speak ill of it. Thus, the elder spoke kindly. There really is such a thing. Han Li seems a bit troubled. After all, he has heard. These leaders do not only visit my Shangjia. At the same time, there are also several snack mines on the island with considerable reserves. This is indeed precious knowledge. 7 islands are actually part of a large town. After the formation is repaired, these islands will not sink into the sea. After thinking for a moment, I asked with some concern, Don't worry. The method we use for repair is slightly different from the original sealing formation. Naturally, these islands cannot be wasted, allowing them to sink. Of course, the sects occupying these islands will naturally have the obligation to jointly guard this sealing formation. Wei Waiu explained calmly. Since the 3 fellow Taoists have promised such a heavy gift, Han and Qin Yuli cannot refuse this trip. But after understanding this matter, I will no longer participate in subsequent matters. Han Likeng said without hesitation. Ha 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 ha. As long as my friend is willing to arrange the formation properly, it would be a great achievement. The other matters can be left to the 3 of us. Wu Yi laughed heartily. He readily agreed. The old demon He Huan and Master Zi Yang, although their thoughts were somewhat different earlier, were now both at ease. At this moment, Wei Wuya took out a round, white object from his storage bag. He handed it over. Han Li took a glance at it. It was a palm-sized, exquisitely crafted white jade disc, with spiritual light flickering on it, engraved with various complex blessings. At first glance, it was clearly not an ordinary item. After a brief moment of starlight flickering in Han Li's hand, the disc disappeared without a trace, having been stored in the storage bag. Alright, now everything is ready. We just need the right opportunity. I wonder when the Shy One plans to go down, Wei Wuya asked with a satisfied expression. The restoration method is indeed better the sooner it is done. After resting for a night, some of the mana that was previously depleted has already been restored. If the three friends, some of the previously depleted magical power has already been restored. If it were the three fellow Taoists, if the demon-slaying treasure is worn on the body, then first arrange the shock plate on the lower limbs. 1 or 2 days late, who knows how the demonic energy will change? Han Li said with a serious expression. After hearing what Han Li said, the three major cultivators naturally had no objections, and those few items they had painstakingly gathered, the fading membrane, were naturally carried with them. Immediately, they took them out one by one, and handed them to Han Li. A hand-to-hand jade ruyi, a fiery red bagua mirror, a golden battle armor and a small black flag. Han Li did not hold back either. The three of them immediately used these for treasures one by one. The effects were indeed extraordinary. Among them, 3 were treasures for treating yang and inflammation, which were indeed very effective against demonic energy. As for that black chess piece, on the contrary, it was a well-known treasure of the demonic path. According to the old demon He Huan, although this chess piece originally commanded ghostly winds, it could also absorb demonic energy, etc. Therefore, it could be used for self-protection. Looking at this chess piece, Han Li felt a stir in his heart. After Chen Ying tied it up a few times, he finally put it away in the bag. This matter has some differences that made the He Huan old demon slightly concerned. Han Li carefully stored the treasure. Then he left with the 3 people to the cave of the young Changren. They headed straight towards the direction of the Great Vortex. After several towns, Han Li successfully appeared at the bottom of the vortex. This time, he was all alone, looking at the demonic energy below the light. Han Li clenched his fists without saying a word. With a thunderous sound, something suddenly shot out from his body. The large golden tiger transformed again into an electric net, which adhered to the surface of the light. He glanced at those golden electric arcs, and the corner of Han Li's mouth twitched slightly. A hint of sarcasm flashed across his face. Wei Wuya and the others, no matter how cunning they were, would never have thought that he actually possessed 72 thunder bamboo flying swords. According to his estimation, let alone a round trip, even making 2 trips back and forth, would be more than enough for self-protection. Otherwise, how could he take on such a risky task? The reason he bargained with them earlier was naturally because he thought of the benefits that the young Chang Ren had reminded him of at the 100 Craft Garden. On the other hand, he simply did not want to let, they simply wouldn't want to let, the 3 of them figured out their own backgrounds. Intentionally, they assessed the number of the evil-dispelling divine thunder. In the future, the only ones who could pose a threat to him in Tianan are the 3 major cultivators, and those few Mulan divine masters. Han Li had to be as cautious as her superior. It was as if she had entered the demonic aura, under the protection of Jin Hu. Han Li quietly slid into the dark abyss. As the sound of thunder diminished, the golden light of the evil-dispelling divine thunder gradually faded into the darkness. Finally, it disappeared without a trace. Meanwhile, on the surface of the sea, Zi Yang and the others were discussing something. Brother Zi Yang, do you think Han Daoist's evil-dispelling divine thunder is really as insufficient as he says? Is it really not worth a trip back and forth? Wei Wuya, with his hands behind his back, asked the person above. What do you mean by that, brother? Do you think the words of Taoist Ziping were false? The Taoist's expression darkened, becoming somewhat displeased. Please don't misunderstand. I absolutely did not mean that. I just felt that. Han Daoist agreed to readily afterward. So, I was just a bit curious and asked. Wei Wuya smiled calmly and said, if that's the case, then the channel is also not so clear. However, the deeper one goes into the abyss of demonic cha, the greater the consumption of spiritual power. For the weak and unassuming, the required exorcising divine thunder is indeed an astonishing amount. I don't believe that Taoist Han truly has so much divine thunder at his disposal. Perhaps aside from the exorcising divine thunder, Taoist Han has no other abilities to temporarily resist the demonic cha. With this thought, he said lightly, that being said, It's highly likely that Baoye has some secret techniques from the cultivation world, which are constantly emerging, but regardless, if we can successfully resolve this tribulation, it will always be a good thing, Wei Wei said with a smile, then glanced sideways at the nearby He Huan old demon, who had been silently watching the center of the vortex with his arms crossed. A moment of silence fell between the three. In a place where the demonic chair reaches 3,000 zhang, the light was flickering. Golden lightning hovered in the air, motionless. In the light, Han Li was holding that talisman that recorded the position of the right disc, gloomily staring at the object in the jade scissors. After a while, Han Li pulled out the divine stone, glanced around. It seemed pitch black and devoid of light, already at the bottom of the abyss. Unable to see far, Han Li frowned, suddenly opened his mouth. A small sword about an inch long shot out. A flash of golden light. The golden arrow shot out of the passport. At the same time, a thin arc of electricity appeared on the sword body. After a swirl, it flew to the top of Han Li's head. Then, amidst the electric light, it spun around, transforming into a golden wheel of light about an inch in size. Quite peculiar. It then pinched below, piercing the light wheel above. The paper light wheel paused for a moment, transforming into a beam of golden light and shooting away. Without hesitation, Han Li moved his body, following closely behind the passport. After flying horizontally for several hundred zhang, the golden arrow suddenly changed direction, suddenly diving down towards the light. With a muffled bang, it splashed, piercing into something, half submerged and not moving. Seeing this scene, Han Li's face flashed with joy. It still appeared in the high place above the little arrow. Wherever her gaze passed, the surroundings remained dark and murky, but the electric arc on the little arrow flickered with a faint light, allowing her to see a bit of the area. Han Li discovered that the place where the little sword was inserted seemed to be a flat giant stone. After pondering for a moment, she raised both hands, pressing her palms simultaneously against the cover wall. The electric net on the light suddenly became dazzling, and at the same time, several thick golden streams shot out from the light, transforming into several golden jet pythons that spiraled around nearby. Within the range of the stone and the tent, all the magical energy was completely swept away. After the golden pythons flew past, the giant stone below was revealed under the illumination of the spiritual light. Han Li hoped for a moment, her expression also dazed. What was this giant stone? It was clearly a platform that resembled an altar room. It looked quite spacious, but within the range covered by the lake, she could not see its full appearance. Han Li felt a bit uneasy in her heart. It was precisely the burial place researched by those legalists, the buried research conducted by those political sorcerers. The place of the main altar is actually such a location. Things are getting interesting. Han Li immediately urged the golden tiger. It quickly flew around the altar once. He finally had a general impression of this platform. It is a square platform of considerable size. Whether it is the shape or the patterns engraved on the surrounding stone walls, it all indicates that it is very ancient. It must have been built in ancient times. Han Li returned to the original spot. He waved at the small sword still stuck in the ground. Instantly, the sword transformed into a golden light, shooting back to Han Li. Han Li estimated in his heart for a moment, and immediately flew towards the center of the platform. As a result, moments later, several points of white light flickered in the distance. He felt a stir in his heart and sped up slightly. Finally, he saw the situation at the center of the platform clearly. A stone tablet shattered into several pieces lay quietly there. Only a small part of the base of the tablet still stood. His gaze flickered a few times, and he illuminated the remnants of the stone tablet. Although the tablet was destroyed, some broken runes that he could not understand were still visible on it. The material used to forge the tablet was also unknown. However, it can still be seen that some broken runes are imprinted on it, which he cannot understand, and the stele is made of some unknown material. Since it still looks like the spiritual charm hasn't dissipated, occasionally, a milky white spiritual light flickers above it. Could this be something as precious as the Thunder Lord's treasures? Before I could be surprised by such thoughts, I then reached out into the void below, and a fist-sized fragment of a stone tablet shot out of thin air. With a flash of spiritual light from my 5 fingers, my entire palm was enveloped in a blue light, and I forgot to grab the stone piece in my hand. It looked gray and unremarkable. If it weren't for the occasional strands of spiritual light radiating from the stone, I really wouldn't be able to tell what was special about it. I flipped it over and over a few times, and my eyebrows twitched. Suddenly, I exerted force with my 5 fingers. A great force acted upon this object in an instant. A bizarre scene unfolded. The stone did not turn out to be indestructible as I imagined, nor did it easily crumble into dust. Instead, After a few flashes of white light, it suddenly became incredibly soft, and endlessly sank deep into the stone. I was startled. What is this? Senior Da Yan, do you know what this object is? You furrowed your brow. You turned to the great deity with a gloomy expression. I have never seen this thing before. That's not surprising. There were many strange materials in ancient times. No one could possibly recognize everything. However, you might as well throw a piece into sea. The old woman is just idly doing nothing. It's just right for some research. The lazy voice of the great deity came through. Han Li didn't think much of it. She casually tossed it. The stone flew towards the bamboo tube behind her. After a flash of light from the bamboo tube, a white mist flew out, pulling the strange stone into the barrel, and at the moment Han Li got the stone, she could also tell from the fracture marks that the stele had not been destroyed for long. It seems that the stele was originally a crucial object for suppression and concealment. That's why it appeared at the same time as the magical formation. It has also been destroyed. Just this point. These 10 cups of materials absolutely cannot be ordinary items. Thinking of this, Han Li did not hold back. After a sweep of azure mist, the fragments of the stone tablet were all collected into the storage bag. With a flick of her fingers, a dozen sharp sword energies shot out. They struck fiercely at the base of the stone tablet. She intended to shatter these materials and take them away. A series of booming sounds echoed out. This greatly surprised Han Li. After a flash of clear light, the sword energies silently merged into the base of the stone tablet. They vanished without a trace. There was not the slightest effect. This is indeed a bit strange. Han Li was taken aback. After hesitating for a moment, she decided to ignore the remaining materials. Instead, she shifted her focus. More sword energies shot out from the Shu Road. Although the remaining exorcising thunder was still enough to last for quite a while, Han Li did not dare to linger in such a dangerous place. She prepared to set up the formation plate. A series of dreams came forth. Beside the stone tablet, a pit about a foot deep appeared there. Han Li calmly waved her hand. After a flash of white light, the exquisitely crafted formation plate appeared in her hand. Without hesitation, Han Li flicked her wrist, and the formation plate instantly transformed into a ball. The white light flew into the deep pit. With both hands pinched, he began to excavate. Suddenly, the pit flickered with light. The tense expression on his face was fixed on the, not even blinking. After a moment, they emitted a clear sound. Then, a milky white beam, as thick as an arm, silently shot up into the sky from the. In an instant, it disappeared into the high sky without a trace. Han Li thought to himself, since everything is normal with it means he found the right place. There's no problem with it being buried here. Thinking of this, Han Li's expression showed a hint of joy. A gust of clear, gentle wind surged forth. After the strong wind, everything around was swept back into the deep pit. Was cast. The pile of broken stones, which had been somewhat protruding, emitted a faint white light amidst the low, heavy sound of rain. Then, under the influence of it began to melt and coalesce into one. After a moment, the surface of the deep pit became exceptionally smooth and flat, as if there had never been a deep pit at all. After walking around the original location of the deep pit a few times, seeing that everything was normal and there was nothing unusual, Han Li nodded, revealing a satisfied expression. After casually casting a few spells outward, they just happened to accumulate on the nearby golden beasts wandering around. A few explosive sounds were heard. The golden beasts turned into spakes of golden stars and vanished into thin air. Without a trace, the demonic energy that was originally isolated in the distance suddenly surged back up. Han Li pondered for a moment. When the light shone on the golden lake, he was about to soar into the air and fly back to the sea surface. But at that moment, a voice from the divine stone came from the big-eyed deity. Wait a moment, little one. Does the senior have any advice? Han Ning straightened his posture and raised his shield. He did not leave the platform immediately. Since this is the main eye's location, it should be the place with the densest demonic energy, and this demonic energy has been suppressed since ancient times. Perhaps there might be a few pieces of marrow stones formed here. According to ancient texts, this is the only material for refining a demonic path quality assurance. You should check the platform and the nearby underground to see if you can truly find this item. The big-eyed deity said lightly. A hint of unusual color rose on Han Li's face. But after thinking it over, he did not hesitate. With one hand, I slapped the storage bag. At first sight, Huang Mengmeng's Volfhan Jade Rui appeared in my hand. This is the ancient castle where Yingyu once resided. Although the kiln is gone, I can still cast a simplified earth shield technique. It's just not as refined as what can be used in business. It was truly extraordinary. A low murmur escaped my lips. The light on Han Li suddenly expanded in intensity. Then a beam of white light flew out from her sleeve. After a swirl, it landed in front of her. It was the snow-white small lake that Yingyu had painted. Time is too tight. Let's split up to find that thing, Han Li said quickly. A faint golden electric ball appeared in the palm of my hand amidst the sound of thunder. Without hesitation, I tossed it backhandedly. With a loud bang, the electric ball transformed into an electric net that attached itself to the white fox's body. Remember, this divine thunder won't last long. If it shows signs of weakening, just return to the ground immediately. I will return early, Han Li said solemnly. Yes, master. But what does that magic water drill look like? Shelby doesn't recognize it. A pleasant young woman's voice came from the white tiger's mouth. Smooth and melodious. The magic water diamond is as black as ink, like something astonishing. The magic energy within is astonishingly cold, very easy to recognize. Unhindered by the cold, it speaks. The big-eyed deity spoke first. Since that's the case, it will be easier. Then the little arm will go first. The white fox nodded. A flash of fluorescence on its body. It burrowed into the stone platform, disappeared without a trace. Han Li himself was not idle either. With a wave of the jade ruyi in his hand, a layer of faint yellow fur appeared in the light. The person below also fell into the platform, silent and without a sound. The large platform was suddenly empty. Time passed little by little. The surroundings were eerily quiet, but the platform had completely become a realm of magic energy. Groups of pitch-black magic energy made it impossible to see one's fingers. Just like a hellish underworld, it was unclear how long had passed. Suddenly, a thunderous sound erupted. Then a flash of golden light. Han Li appeared on the platform, enveloped in light. Seemingly smiling, he momentarily forgot, not seeing any sign of business. Han Li paused for a moment. A hint of worrying appeared on his face, but he suddenly raised a tightly clenched fist. He loosened his thumb. In the palm of his hand, there was a dark, translucent crystal. It was only the size of a thumb. It looked delicate and exquisite, just as I expected. This really has formed a magic essence diamond. Your fortune is quite good. This is an ancient magical artifact, something that is highly sought after. At that time, it was also a treasure that could only be encountered by chance. The big-eyed deity chuckled and said, Really? Is this thing really that precious? Han Li held up the golden diamond in front of his eyes. His eyes squinted slightly. Now he had time to observe this item. The golden diamond did not emit any light. Instead, its dark color gave off a feeling that it could ensnare one's soul. It had an eerie sensation that drew one in. Han Li felt a surge of dread in his heart. Not daring to look too much, he hurriedly averted his gaze. Just then, the colors on the stone platform below flickered. A white fox with faint golden fur silently flew out from the stone platform. It suddenly leapt into Han Li's light. If you don't come back soon, I plan to come and get you myself. I plan to change it for you personally. I originally thought you would return earlier than me. Have you already made some gains? The little fox at Han Li's feet waved. Suddenly, a green mist appeared. It lifted the little fox and personally brought it to Han Li. The white fox said nothing. It opened its mouth and sprayed out 3 shiny black crystals. I don't know if it's easier to make water diamonds or other materials. There were some unexpected items in the tray. Then, a rare expression appeared on its face. The white bearded fox smiled in a very human-like way. It suddenly dove into its sleeve. It disappeared without a trace. Han Li placed these 3 gold diamonds together with her own. She took out a healing item from her storage bag. She arranged the 4 water diamonds side by side. This time, I must leave, Han Li said lightly. Then, the light illuminated the outer lake, and a loud roar erupted. Han Li stared at the passport as it slowly flew into the air. When it came down, Han Li's speed was very slow, but when going up, it wasn't much faster either. After flying upwards for a full quarter of an hour, Han Li finally saw that layer again. The white misty light curtain. There was no need to use that extremely simple retreating treasure provided for Wu Ye and the others. A white, hazy light curtain. Didn't even use that minimalism to provide the retreating magic treasure for Wu Ye and the others. In the blink of an eye, Han Li passed through the lightwood, finally free from the demonic energy. He turned around to look back at the lightwood. Han Li retracted the evil repelling divine thunder. The golden fox immediately dispersed completely, but he did not fly into the air immediately. Instead, he calmly glanced at the lightwood. He reached into his storage bag. A silver membrane appeared in his hand. He indicated the incomplete green small sail. Isn't this the Yin Luo fan from that day? Mingyu, who had a different demeanor, said in surprise. This time, the demonic head Yin Gui, although completely eliminated, was not severely damaged itself. It is still a rare magical treasure of the demonic path. I have tried before. It can absorb ghostly artifacts and self-repair. And the magic flag given by the old demon, He Huan, reminded me that demonic energy and ghostly energy are both sounds of heaven and earth, which are interconnected to some extent. There is so much pure demonic energy here. It's just right to see if I can repair this. Even if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter, he said nonchalantly. Then a green light appeared in his hand. A layer of green, misty spiritual light instantly enveloped the small sail, and then transformed into a beam of green light. A layer of azure spiritual light instantly enveloped Zifan, then transformed into a streak of azure radiance. It shot into the magic energy below. The spiritual light wrapped around Xiaofeng outside. Instantly, it was completely devoured by the magic energy. The broken form of the Yingluo sail revealed its true appearance. Surrounded by a multitude of magic energy, it was enveloped in the center. At this moment, Han Li formed a seal with both hands. He pointed towards the distant green sail. The originally lifeless Yingluo sail suddenly radiated bright green light. Then, under Han Li's incantation, its size surged wildly. In the blink of an eye, it transformed into a gigantic green sail about 10 feet long. However, the sail's surface was tattered, looking quite pitiful. All of this was destroyed by the powerful energy witnessed by Da Jing during that battle. Han Li had searched through it. Naturally, he knew how to operate this, and such treasures, similar to those passed down through generations in the Yingluo sect, certainly couldn't have any blood recognition for a master. Therefore, although this was classified as a magical treasure, it was the kind that could not be controlled by its owner. Basically, once it reached a divine hand, it could be refined and used. At this moment, as Han Li chanted the spell, a hole with a diameter of about a foot appeared on the surface. Just refine it a bit, and it can be used. At this moment, under Han Li's incantation, a large hole with a diameter of a vertical ruler emerged on the surface. A chilling wind blew inside. By now, the surroundings were already filled with dense magic energy. The magic energy instantly found its outlet. It surged into the hollow that appeared online. It was a continuous flow. Han Li was overjoyed at this scene. Indeed, this time it could absorb the magic energy. After Luo Fen inhaled the magic energy from the large drum, it was visibly repairing itself at a rapid pace. Before long, the entire tomato had transformed completely. However, this time it changed from its original green to a strange color of half green and half black. With a honeyed gaze, it looked at the scene, devouring the surroundings with a sense of tacit understanding. Han Li felt a bit surprised in his heart. He originally thought that once it was repaired, it would immediately stop devouring. But unexpectedly, now Luo Fan was like a bottomless pit, continuously consuming without pause. However, Tai Yi noticed that the green in the repair process was gradually becoming sparse, while the black was becoming more pronounced. Seeing this scene, Han Li's face revealed a hint of worrying, but he still remained in place, just watching from a distance, unmoving. As a result, he did not know how long had passed. As it continued to devour the endless magic energy from the tree, it then devoured the endless demonic energy of the tree. The English Lu Fan finally let out a series of buzzing sounds. The hole above suddenly disappeared. Calm was restored. At this moment, the entire body was pitch black and shiny. The piercing black light seemed almost substantial. At this time, Han Li charged forward without hesitation. Instantly, he shrank sharply in the black light. He transformed back into a streak of black light. It surged out from the demonic energy. It landed in Han Li's palm. After carefully examining the palm-sized object, Han and I nodded in satisfaction. She put it away. She would find an opportunity to test its power later, because a lot of time had already been delayed. Han Li dared not delay any longer. Immediately, she spat out dozens of splashes, breaking through the spiritual energy above her head. She soared into the sky. When Han Li transformed into a streak of blue and red, and shot out from the great vortex, Wei Waiyu and the others still appeared calm and composed. However, the occasional glances they exchanged revealed hints of anxiety. They were afraid something unexpected would happen to Han Li. They had not set up the shock properly. As a result, when a streak of blue and red flew out, the three couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. They all knew that it was most likely a success. Everyone knew it was mostly successful. How is Han Dao doing? Is this heart still going smoothly? He asked with a smile. It's not as good as fate. It's already been arranged. Han Li replied with a slight smile. So that way can give it a try. Wei Wai placed one hand on the bag. A similar large compass appeared in his palm. Wei Waiyu held the compass with one hand. With the other hand, he began to manipulate it. A few difficult incantations escaped his mouth. The white spiritual light in his hand flickered continuously. Then, strands of multicolored light radiated out. It was a stunning sight. Indeed, things have already worsened. The shock plate. We can soon ask the other cultivators to help with the instrument. Please have them repair this formation. After setting up this shock plate, at the very least, we won't have to worry about the demonic energy suddenly erupting. This is quite a significant merit, Weiwayu said with a hearty laugh, seemingly in a great mood. Since the matters here have been resolved, Han will take his leave for now. I still have some important matters to attend to. I will return these treasures to the three fellow Taoists. These treasures were returned to the three fellow Taoists. Han Li tossed the four-sword, retreating magic treasures, one by one to the three of them. Calmly, he said, after hearing Han Li's words. The treasures Weiwayu couldn't help but exchange glances with the others. Fellow Taoist Han, why be so anxious? Why not stay with our 7 leaders for a couple more days? It's never too late to go again. This way, one can persuade others to speak. Thank you, Brother Ziyang, for your kindness. However, I, Han, truly have important matters to attend to. I cannot delay. As Han Li shakes his head, his face shows a hint of regret. Since Brother Han indeed has matters to attend to, we 3 will not keep you any longer. Safe travels, fellow cultivator, Wei Wuyazi said, cupping his fists. Then I shall take my leave. Han Di calmly cupped his fists in farewell to the 3. He said no more, and a brilliant starlight emanated from him, transforming into a stunning streak that broke through the air and vanished into the distance. Half a month later, Han Li returned to the Luo Yun sect. He informed the 2 regarding the matter of the city being assigned to the Luo Yun sect. After that, he prepared to enter seclusion once again. This time, Han Li was not cultivating the law, but rather aiming to completely refine the second reason. After all, with the second reason, there is a second reason. His abilities have greatly increased. It's almost like gaining an extra life. The supreme spiritual sound that was taken as the second vowel has already reached the assimilation stage. It is now at the final stages. As long as the last few steps are completed, it will be considered a great success. For this reason, after observing the situation with Nangang Wan, Han Li ascended to the secret chamber. He began a closed-door cultivation that lasted several years. Meanwhile, in the southern celestial cultivation realm, after experiencing several major events, it also entered a period of stability. Each sect and faction made efforts to cultivate their disciples, entering a phase of accumulating resources and sharpening their skills. 4 years later, within the hidden cave of the mother and son seal master, the young woman Yi Emi I was waiting outside the long and open secret chamber. Yesterday, while using green leaves to ripen the spiritual herbs, she suddenly heard Han Li's voice transmission. Today, I am waiting here for Han Li to emerge from his retreat. The closed door that hadn't been opened for years did not keep her waiting long. Finally, with a soft sound, it slowly began to rise. The hidden moonlight flickered in her bright eyes. She raised her hand to look, but Han Li's figure did not appear inside the door. Instead, a gust of dark, ominous wind suddenly blew out, accompanied by a low, mocking laughter that echoed. As it silently shot out from within, a large dark cloud of obstacles, a fleeting flash rushing straight towards the moon. The silver moon was taken aback, quickly took several steps back, looking towards this house with a faded expression. The dark cloud suddenly stopped. It shone with a deep black luster, like black silk. This was a slight shift in the operational thought. A vague guess formed in the heart. How is it? The second reason has been cultivated to this extent. Should be considered a great success. Right. The dark cloud suddenly condensed and transformed, instantly turning into a black-green baby, only a few inches tall, and spoke human words, saying, "Congratulations, Master, on achieving great powers." After the bright moon smiled sweetly, she respectfully bowed to the second reason and said, "This second reason looks like it's just a bit smaller than Han Li's main reason, but its appearance and demeanor are exactly the same. To completely cultivate the second reason so quickly, it really is a bit beyond my expectations. However, there is indeed a strange feeling afterwards." Familiar voices echoed from the secret room. Finally, Han Li's figure appeared at the door and walked out. At this moment, the black-green reason grinned. That black-green reason grinned widely, shot towards Han Li. One circled and landed above Han Li's hairline. One person has 2 independent reasons. Naturally, it felt different from before. However, as long as the master gets used to it, it will be fine. The music raised a hand to probe Han Li. The famous speaker is quite filial. Oh? From your tone, it seems you know something about the second reason. Do you remember something related? Han Li's gaze flickered. She said with some interest, "This little bai is not very clear. I don't know why I just said it casually. Maybe I really knew some similar supernatural powers before. Yingyue replied as the teacher. Hearing Yingyue explain this, Hanli nodded and said nothing, but suddenly, the reason above her head flipped her little hand, and a small sail appeared. After tying it up, it seemed dark and shiny, exactly like the second vowel of the Yin Luofan master, who had absorbed enough magical energy. Could it be that he practiced demonic cultivation techniques? In January, upon seeing this scene, he glanced at the vowel again, and couldn't help but ask, the second vowel has been cultivated. Naturally, it must possess the prior supernatural powers, but he does not have a physical body. He cannot cultivate the technique alone. I will first use my own body, and the pure demonic energy from Yin Luofan to assist him. This allows him to cultivate some of the profound transformation techniques from the suspended Yin Great Method. As for whether it truly gives him a physical body, I am still hesitating. The second reason for having a body is that it is very easy to encounter backlash. One must be cautious in this regard. Hanli heard the music and asked, furrowing his brow as he spoke. Then he patted the top of his head with one hand. A flash of black light appeared. The reason disappeared into his head without a trace. However, Hanli was very clear beneath the stone of his spirit. At the Danshan, where the main essence is seated, the second essence also sat cross-legged opposite him. Remaining still, it is natural for the master to be cautious. This Zhuanmu transformation Yin Great Method has never been heard of before. As for other techniques of transformation, they mostly involve high-level methods of splitting the mind and soul, just like that divine master Mulan, who uses great supernatural powers to forcibly split the primordial spirit. He nodded in agreement. Their method of transformation, although it does not essentially enhance anything, but when dealing with multiple opponents or for self-preservation, there are indeed some clever uses. It can be considered a powerful technique. Alright, let's not talk about that anymore. During this time, nothing happened in the cave. Right, Hanli asked with a wave of his hand, saying a few words. At the same time, he lifted his leg and walked towards the hall. After the master's year-long retreat, Miss Mu successfully completed the order. I just followed your instructions, combining that Yunnan Feng Peiyuan method with some other useful single herbs for the order, and sent them over. Miss Nangong was also safe and sound during the waiting period. The Wine Soul Curse was gradually weakening under the power of the Fire Match Pill. It is estimated that even without the curse-breaking method, it should be able to lift the poison curse in another 100 years. Of course, this is just a rough guess from Zibai. The master should still take a look in person. Mingyu easily followed behind Hanli, answering one by one. As soon as he came out of seclusion, he heard to good news. Hanli felt a surge of joy in his heart, just as he was about to ask some other things. Mingyu said again, there's one more thing for the master to know. Those 600 million double public larvae have been continuously consuming the mud grass over the years. Logically, they should have grown rapidly by now, and split and evolved as well. But for some reason, these larvae are growing incredibly slowly. They only retreat once. Surprisingly, they no longer separate. Upon hearing this, Hanli paused in his steps, a hint of confusion appearing on his face. Indeed, after retreating, their martial arts seem much stronger. Moreover, they have become irritable again these past few days, as if they are going to retreat once more. Music lightly bit her red lips, and she slowed her steps, saying, let's first go take a look. Hanli frowned, then expressionlessly said, change direction. He led the way towards another passage, which officially leads to the Chong family road. After a moment, Hanli appeared in front of the Chong family. He walked a few steps to one of the holes on the side wall of the Chong family, looking inside. Before he could clearly see what was inside, a chill rushed towards him. Wherever Hanli's gaze landed, it was all a field of crystal material. In the small insect chamber, whether above or on the walls, it is all translucent and sparkling ice. On the ground, there are several icebergs of varying sizes. Towering there, on the ice, there are several deep holes the size of bowls. A few half-foot-long snow-white centipedes are wandering in and out unpredictably. As the spirit insect that has recognized its master with blood, Hanli has just appeared here. These centipedes immediately sensed what was happening. After a commotion, a few outside immediately flew towards Hanli. A few inside also quickly crawled out. Similarly floating up, Hanli waved her hand, removing the stillness above the holes. Then the divine stone stirred. These centipedes transformed into tiny sizes in the white light, dancing up and down in front of him. With a lift of his hand, he skillfully caught one in his palm. From the color, these larvae are still as snow-white as before, but two slightly bald small bumps appeared on their backs. The rest of their bodies remained completely unchanged. After examining the spirit insect in her hand, Hanli couldn't help but stand still and ponder. leapt behind Han Li, stood quietly beside her without saying a word. At this moment, Han Li extended a finger. It was brought to the centipede's mouth. With a sound of puff, blue flames appeared on the paper. As the centipede opened its mouth, a thin stream of cold air was sprayed out. It struck the blue eye above. Instantly, the blue eye on her finger surged several times. It quickly enveloped all the cold air within. Han Li slowly closed her eyes. It seemed she was sensing something. After these centipedes shed their shells, they became much stronger than before. It seems that splitting and devouring is no different from constantly shedding their shells. Still not opening her eyes, she flicked her finger. The blue leaves disappeared without a trace. As for why they no longer split and devour each other, there's nothing strange about it. Which of these ancient spirit insects isn't bizarre? Perhaps they can only split a few times at most. Maybe under the influence of mud and grass, their bodies underwent some mutations, losing this ability. Anyway, as long as they can still be sustained with green leaves, it doesn't matter afterward, she said faintly with tears in her eyes. The master said so. Zibai felt relieved. The music let out a sigh of relief. She revealed a sweet smile. It was charming. However, her confidant Han Li remained indifferent to this. Instead, she turned and walked towards the hall. In a low voice, she said, "After this retreat, let's take a short break. We will need to go to Dajin soon, whether it's to resolve the evil energy on us, or to search for rare materials. This trip is essential. Moreover, the fire talisman within Wanner is effective no matter what. I'm still worried about unexpected events. It's best to find the spell-breaking incantation from the Ying Luo sect before taking any reckless actions. This is also the reason for my diligent cultivation. Who knows what kind of dangers we might encounter in Dajin?" "I see. But with the master's abilities, there aren't many who can pose a threat in Dajin." The master's lips curled up slightly. With a beaming smile, she said, "Haha. There are many treasures in the cultivation world, so that's not guaranteed. Moreover, I have already offended the demonic cultivators of the Ying Luo sect. If they were to discover it, it will definitely cause quite a bit of trouble. It's better to be more cautious. I will go check on Wanner first. I'll also meet with Senior Brother Cheng and the others. Let's see how much material is still lacking for refining the puppets, and for the materials for Che Yanshan. If everything goes smoothly, at most in 10 to 15 days, we will choose a day to leave this place. Master Xiaobi also wants to see what the so-called sacred land of cultivation looks like. What kind of place is it? Really?" The voices of Han Li and the music gradually faded away. After a short while, it became quiet again. Half a month later, a streak of blue and red flew out from Yunming Mountain, heading south at great speed. Not long after, some well-informed cultivators received a piece of news at the same time. The renowned elder Han from Lu Yun sect suddenly left Yunming Mountain for a long journey. No one knows exactly where he went. Perhaps he is wandering around various places in Tianan. You might have completely left the Tianan region